Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. Wednesday. It's day 3 of my Saltines only routine. We're going to break through that here sometime soon. But right now, Saltines are about the best we can do.
That's not the worst it could be.
No, it's not the best either. Kelly Holcomb is off traveling to watch his daughter play down in Florida somewhere. I don't pretend to know where they are, but I know at some point there's something near Orlando, and then they're going to travel up toward Valdosta to see their son Jameson. They are quite the athletic family, and they're putting some serious mileage out there. So Kelly will not be with us. However, Billy Derrick is. Billy, how are you?
I'm good. This weather's starting to feel like the spring, which I like.
It's a little early.
I like it, though.
It's a tease.
I'm already done with the cold. Let's get springtime in here.
Well, hold on a second. Let's see what we got. 61 degrees at the moment. Tomorrow, they say an 85% chance of rain. Why not just make it 80 or 90? And then 45% chance on Friday. 58 tomorrow, 64 on Friday. Over the weekend, 54 and 62 for the highs on Saturday and Sunday, and 67 on Monday. They are teasing us a little bit.
We're going to have another cold snap eventually.
Oh, yeah. It's called winter. That's why we're in it. So you have bemoaned very early a week update. What seems to be the problem?
Well, not the best. We've got a few stories out there.
It's a C lineup.
Yeah, just okay. I've had better updates.
The show will be good. The update may suck, but the
show goes on.
Absolutely.
It's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgageladyusa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350.
You realize I've done 10,000 of these, so yes, the show must go on.
Must go on. Well, SEC basketball must go on as well. Had a few games last night. Georgia got a win over poor old South Carolina, 71-60. The Gamecocks still winless in the SEC. And then Kentucky goes down to Thompson Bowling Arena and punks Tennessee, 78-73. Kentucky off the loss here in Nashville beats Tennessee. And, we were talking last night, and I couldn't believe the way Tennessee got punked last night. I know we'll get into it later in the week, definitely tomorrow with the insiders.
Oh, no, we're going to the new plaster theory is coming out today.
What's that new plaster theory?
Well, if you looked at what I sent you, you could kind of read between the lines a little bit. Apparently, it made no impression on you. Thanks for playing.
Thanks for playing.
Way to keep up.
But no, so Tennessee, they're going to have to get up off the mat. They've got Florida coming into Knoxville on Saturday. You can't let 2 losses become 3 all of a sudden.
I'll hold off until we get to 4 o'clock to the theory. Okay. I have tried the theory out on a basketball person that's a lot smarter than me. And that person thinks I'm on to something.
I know we all anxiously await that theory.
I know the ratings will skyrocket.
Ratings bonanza. Also, late last night, Texas A&M held off Oklahoma 75-68. Oklahoma hosts Vandy on Saturday. That's a pretty good Oklahoma team.
I hear that and I just kind of go,
I mean, they're 2-5.
I don't know.
But,
I don't know what they are.
2-5 in the SEC. In this SEC, I mean, beating anybody in this league is impressive, unless it's South Carolina and maybe LSU. But
let me ask you this: when you watch them, is there anything that really gets your attention?
Well, they've got a good guard in Jeremiah Fears, who apparently is an NBA first rounder. Jalen Moore, who is their 4-man, is pretty athletic. Nothing really scares me, but for Vandy, you do have an off week, but this Oklahoma team now coming off a loss, they'll be at home. That's not going to be easy. I mean, I don't think there's an easy game left on their schedule.
Most anywhere you go in the SEC, if you're the road team, you're going to run into some turbulence. As they say, fasten your seatbelt. What do they call the guy? The pilot will let you know when we're in, calmer air. I
think John Calipari might be experiencing some turbulence come Saturday night at Rupp Arena, because Arkansas travels to Lexington. On returning to Kentucky on Saturday, he said, "You get booed. I've done this for so long. I tell you, I got bazooka holes in my body. So when you shoot arrows, it doesn't even hit skin. It just goes through one of the bazooka holes."
Whatever. I'll say this.
That's going to be awesome.
I think it's going to be a really interesting night at Rupp.
Because he's going to get booed, but
by some.
He did a lot.
But
there.
I don't think by all.
There's got to be an underlying level of some respect.
Kentucky could probably help the situation by kind of pulling a Predators and doing a highlight video tribute to him.
You wonder what they do.
And then once the game starts, boo the hell out of him.
But in Kentucky's case, they wanted him out, and he left for Arkansas, and he's 1-6 in the league now, and
right.
So there's what reason do you have to boo other than having fun booing? Cal, who it's not like he left off a whim for a better school.
Look, I think there's some Kentucky fans that got really tired of him talking down to them. Those are some really intelligent basketball fans who also happen to be the most rabid, loyal fan base in the history of college basketball. They didn't need him to come in and act like suddenly he was the emperor. Here's how you must behave because Johnny Boy has come to town. And I think it pissed off a bunch of their fans over the years, and especially when he didn't have as much leverage late.
Yeah.
It's not like he said the one team that won it. I mean, if we're being honest, you and I could have coached that team that won it. They were loaded.
The 40-1?
Well, no, this is the one that won it all. The 40-1 is the team that Wisconsin beat in the semifinals.
Oh, right, yeah.
But the one that won it all, they were loaded.
They were.
And look, whether it's fair or unfair, there is this perception, and by the way, I happen to agree with the perception. If you're waiting for him to outcoach anybody, good luck.
You'll be waiting for a while.
You might be. Tonight, I'm not his biggest fan.
Really?
No, I am absolutely not.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of an ego.
His biggest fan. Well, I've had a dealing with him that didn't go real well. Maybe someday I'll tell you about it.
We'll just leave it at that.
For now.
Tonight, number 1 Auburn, travels to LSU. Could be a little sneaky. LSU is they gave Alabama a pretty good game at home.
They did
over the weekend.
Yeah. Actually, wasn't that in Tuscaloosa?
You're right. That was in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Anyway,
now, here's the game.
Here's the game tonight.
Here's the cat daddy tonight.
Number 4 Alabama at number 14 Mississippi State in the hump.
And think about it. They're separated. Those two schools are separated by about 80 miles.
Yeah.
And Mississippi State always feels like they're kind of the bastard stepchild.
Yep.
A little bit. Not only to Ole Miss, but also to Alabama, which is their neighbor. And Alabama's really good. And here's what's crazy. When you look at Vandy, all the success they've had in the last few weeks, Mississippi State throttled them.
Vandy cut it.
Come on. They were up 19 at one point.
Yeah, I mean, they beat them. They beat them.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, why would this is where matchups.
You don't know in the SEC.
You don't
night
know.
In, night out.
Because why would Mississippi State give Vandy way more trouble in trying to run their offense than Tennessee or Kentucky?
It was early in SEC play, and Byington talked a lot about how they made some adjustments, and they want to learn how to get good against good teams, and they did. So, but that is a really good Mississippi State team.
Here's the runner-up game for tonight.
Texas at number 23, Ole Miss. I could see Texas winning that game tonight. That's a talented Texas team. They're not, top 5 in the league, but that's still a really talented Texas team.
They're better than Oklahoma.
They beat
Oklahoma in Norman.
But who'd they beat Saturday? They beat A&M on Saturday at home. Texas did.
Yeah, rallied from.
Yeah.
Was it rallied from like
they were
22
down 20?
Down? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
College football, we mentioned Al Golden leaving Notre Dame for the Bengals, their defensive coordinator. They are set to hire former Rutgers head coach Chris Ash as their next defensive coordinator, who I've never heard of.
Oh, Ash had been at Ohio State.
He's been in the NFL since 2021. He worked as a scout for the Jaguars this past season. He was the head coach at Rutgers for a few years, from 2016 to 2019. He was the DC at Wisconsin, Arkansas, and Ohio State in the 2010s. So I saw some reactions from Notre Dame fans a little confused by it. But either way, Marcus Freeman, he was a defensive coordinator. That's kind of your pseudo, like he's the DC in a lot of ways.
From what I know, it's not like Ash is chump change.
Yeah.
He has an Ohio State background.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Preds tonight hosting the Canucks. Big game, 8:00 at Bridgestone.
I wish it were a big game. It'd feel a lot bigger if they had not gotten pummeled in Anaheim.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a wake-up call.
At the moment, they're 12 points back. And Barry Trotz's comments about, if you get close, I'll do some stuff to help you at the deadline. That's kind of met with mixed reaction. I think mostly because most people, and I try to be positive on this, because nobody wants to see them in playoff contention more than I do. Because if you go to games as much as I do, you want the games to matter. But at the moment, they are 12 out of the 8th and final playoff spot. And the problem with being 12 back is not only that you're 12 back, but you've got to hurdle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other teams before you get to Calgary, or as Crispy calls it, Calgary.
Their schedule has lightened up.
It has.
And that's why I think they've won a few here late. But now, Canucks, you got to play your Achilles heel, feels like, from the last couple of years tonight. So we'll see what happens there. Couple of pro football notes. First off, special announcement. The Titans' all-time leading receiver, Derek Mason, has been named to the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame.
So I knew earlier today it was going to happen. First of all, Derek, if you're out there listening, congratulations, man. This is a well-deserved honor. He fought his way from kind of being an unknown to their best wide receiver. And not only that, but he's a Hall of Fame human being. Love dealing with him.
He's as synonymous with the Titans as just about anybody.
Yeah, I mean, because he was a huge part of a lot of their winning. I will always remember when he moved to Baltimore. I've told this story before, but he, when they came back to play here, it was when I was doing like a halftime thing on the big screen. And Derek is just talking trash at the Titans sideline. And finally, Jeff Fisher gets his attention and goes, "Derek, shut the hell up and get in your huddle." And everybody on both sides started laughing because it was funny. That is a well-deserved honor. kudos to the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. That's a great selection.
Well, we got the Super Bowl, of course, here in a little over a week. Business is always good, but Fox Sports is set to have a historic windfall for this matchup. Over 10 of the commercials have sold for more than $8 million. The average price for last year's Super Bowl on CBS was around $7 million, so obviously it's gone up. But Fox Sports is reportedly benefiting due to an unusually large number of buyers who needed to drop out of their commitment, which allowed them to capitalize on a new, more advantageous market. So
I'd like to talk to some of those companies here for a moment. If 7 to 8 million was not your price, contact me. We will find a way. We will make space for you in the plaster advertising family.
We'll find a spot. I'm sure they'll be listening.
Million?
That's insane.
For a 30.
Do you watch those or do you walk away?
I mean, it depends.
Usually the first couple of breaks, I'll sit there, but I get distracted. But they cost more the earlier. Surely they do, right?
I would think so.
I wonder how the prices
vary
depending on where in the game they land, or if they do.
I'd need a media buyer to tell me that. I really don't know.
That's what I got.
Okay, it was not bad. It was better.
Not too bad.
It was better than a C.
Had the scratch and claw.
Yeah. Okay. After the break, Terry McCormick is going to join us from down at the Senior Bowl in Mobile. I've been to Mobile. I've been to the bowl game down there. I've never been to the Senior Bowl. Terry's going to tell us what it's like when we come back on 94.9 The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. And integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Hey Vandy fans, it's Jake Lyman. Commodore women's basketball is on the road on Thursday night. The 23rd ranked Commodores are in Florida taking on the Gators. I'll have your coverage starting at 5:45.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We are back. I have never been to the Senior Bowl. Harry McCormick has. TitanInsider.com, Main Street Media, and he joins us by phone from down in Mobile. Terry, how is life deep in Alabama?
Well, it's nice and warm here today, George. Low 70s, not a lot of breeze, just a beautiful day.
How about if I tell you low 60s here?
Nice. Yeah.
So kind of lay out for those of us who've never had the ability to be there. Who all is there? What all is it they're doing?
Well, it's basically 3 days of football practices, and it's a lot of guys who've never played with each other before. There are names that you would recognize. There's a couple of guys. Brew McCoy from Tennessee is here. The quarterbacks, you would know Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart and Riley Leonard, Dylan Gabriel from Oregon. And, it's really just a way for scouts and coaches to kind of assess these players and determine, which ones they like in terms of the draft process. It's really the beginning of it. The Senior Bowl slogan is that the draft starts in Mobile, and in large part, that's probably correct.
So here's one thing. I mean, I'm going to hopscotch all over the place. But first of all, it got out, I guess, on Monday that Shedeur Sanders, in whatever he was showing you all, wasn't all that impressive. What was it about him that you all said, ooh, that's not good?
Well, he was at the East-West Shrine game. He's not here in Mobile.
Okay.
The Titans did meet with him at the East-West Shrine game, and he didn't do any throwing or anything like that while he was there, from what I understand. But they had about a 15-minute meeting with him, and they came away fairly impressed with him personality-wise and also with his maturity and his football acumen.
Okay, and that's all fine and dandy, and I'm going to be a smart aleck here, but at some point, as Daddy kept calling him, did anybody in the room say, look, let's cut the crap. We need to know. If we draft you, is Daddy okay with this? Are you going to cause us problems? What is the status?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly, if I were a GM or I were a coach, that certainly would be an issue that would have to be broached. I think, he called during the meeting with the Titans, so to speak, and the Titans people said, put him on, we want to talk to him. But you certainly, you're exactly right. You don't want to make a habit of that. You don't want to be, you don't want to have to build an office for Deion Sanders so that he can butt in on your game planning and things like that. Surely, they can, are not going to allow such interference from anyone, and Deion being no exception.
Okay, this is a stupid question right off the bat, and I admit it. Off of all the little hints that you get at a place like that, because what ends up happening at nighttime, they all gather. Kelly loves talking about like it's a saloon and all the football people get together and they yap and they have a few beers and they charge it to the team. Nice expense account if you can get it. Are you getting any real hints that the Titans are leaning to doing X with the first round draft pick?
Well, I talked to Brian Callahan today about it, and he literally said all options are on the table. That includes picking a quarterback. That includes picking somebody like Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter at number one. That includes trading the pick. All options are literally on the table because in what I gathered from them, there are about 6 players on offense that they feel like are starting caliber level players. And the rest are going to have to be upgraded or they're going to have to do some kind of improving. So they've got about half an offense, and truth be told, they've probably got about a half a defense. So there are holes all over the place. So, yes, you have to have a quarterback, but you also got to have weapons for that quarterback, and you got to have people who can stop the other team. And I think the Titans realize the situation that they're in right now, and that it's going to take some time before this thing is going to be fixed and fixed right again. The question becomes, does Amy Adams Strunk have the patience to allow that?
Yes. She could be an issue.
The age-old question.
Yeah. So, Terry, here's stupid question number 2. It's easy right now for all of them to say all options are on the table. When do we get to a point where they have to erase that, voicemail? All options are open, and they've got to figure out, okay, what are we going to do, and how much are we going to listen to what could be some absolute windfalls, if they decide they want to trade it?
Yeah, I think the first of that they'll go through this evaluation process like they're doing here. They'll go to the combine, but I think the first inkling of how they want to handle this, I think you'll see it start to take place around free agency. What they do in free agency, what kind of quarterback maybe that they sign, what kind of offensive lineman that they go and try to add in free agency. Mike Morganzi said last week they're not going to be big players in free agency, but that doesn't mean they're not going to get help there and need help there. So that is the situation they're faced with. And how you see those 3 or 4 or 5 dominoes fall in free agency will start to tell you a little bit about the path that they want to take in the draft to start filling the holes on this roster.
Okay, I want to run through 2 players that you really bragged on earlier. Then I'll turn it to Billy. Tell me why everybody is gaga about Deion Walker from Kentucky.
He's huge. He is huge. He's probably about 6'6" and probably weighs well over 300 pounds, but he is well put together, and he is a wrecking force, or at least what I've seen so far in the 2 practices. He looks really good. He's aggressive. He attacks the rush from the interior. The first day yesterday, they were doing the drill in the individual where, the coach holds a blocking pad and the player's supposed to run by and hit that blocking pad. Well, this guy goes and not only hits the blocking pad, he takes out the coach. And one of the other coaches says, "Hey, let's not hurt the coaches here." So that right there tells me that guy's got something.
Where you've really got something is if the player fires back, why not?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about the kid, Tez Johnson from Oregon.
Now, he is tiny. He's about less than 160 pounds, probably about 5'9", 5'10". He's fortunate. He's got big hair, so that gives him a couple of inches there. But he is a lightning rod with the football in his hands. He's a guy that he creates separation with his speed. He also creates separation with his ability to cut and juke and turn. And I don't know if it was Chad Brinker or Mike Morganzi or maybe both of them who used the term, we've got to add playmakers start adding playmakers to this franchise in the draft. This kid looks like one from the slot receiver position and as a punt returner. He looks like he could be one.
Terry McCormick is in Mobile, Alabama, where the Senior Bowl will be held later this week, the actual game. Right now, it's all the practices, and I get the feeling the practices are every bit as important as the game. Billy, what do you got for him?
Terry, Titans fans and fans of all NFL teams love to get excited when they hear their GM say something or their coach say something about this certain player, or we like this position. Here's our needs, yada yada yada. But with your experience covering this time of year with the Titans, how much lying goes on, or maybe not lying, but how much deception goes on here?
Untruths.
Well, there's a certain amount of it. There's no doubt about that. Some, well played misdirection, shall we say? And but I think the Titans, given that they need just about everything, there's only a couple of positions where they can say that they're solid and set. I think they have to be open to everything. And so if they tell you they like some of the offensive linemen down here, believe them. They probably have one or two targeted that they want to add to the roster. If they tell you that there are some, undersized or smaller receivers here who can make plays with the ball in their hands that can be taken in the middle rounds, believe them. They're probably going to try to do that. I think that's kind of, where they are right now in terms of they don't really have to lie. One, they have the first pick, so they can't fool anybody or fake anybody out because there's nobody picking ahead of them to take the player that they want. They get their choice if they hold on to the pick. So by that regard, I think, they're probably, being honest and forthright that they're just saying, hey, we need a lot of things.
I'm interested. We talked a lot about Borgonzi as he was hired initially. I don't know if you've been able to talk to him yet. I think I saw you guys had an availability with him yesterday. I think it might have been. What else have you learned about him? And you're down there. Talking to other people. What else have you been able to glean about Mike Borgonzi and what he could bring to the Titans?
Well, I think he's a guy that wants to build this thing through the draft. I think he comes from the Kansas City Chiefs model where not only did they land Patrick Mahomes, who's the best quarterback in the league, but they've also up and down. Like Travis Kelce was a third-round pick. Chris Jones, a second-round pick. Trey Smith, sixth round. Isaiah Pacheco, seventh round. This is an organization that knows how to find guys that fit what they do up and down the draft. And I think that's one of the areas he wants to build on in terms of trying to get this roster right. And then the other thing is he's going to focus on quarterbacks. They're going to try to find, maybe multiple quarterbacks, maybe a veteran, maybe a rookie as well. As they go through this process, I think, they're going to try and, leave, as they said, no stone unturned in trying to solve the quarterback solution, even if that means, running it back with Will Levis if he improves. And if he doesn't improve, they'll have somebody else ready to go and say, okay, you're the guy.
You say if he improves, what is that process with Will Levis going to look like here in the next 5-6 months or so as the Titans try to figure out what they're going to do with Levis, but also with the other quarterbacks? I mean, you got to imagine they bring in another quarterback, but what does that look like here in the next 5-6 months or so?
Yeah, I would expect them to add a veteran in free agency and probably also draft one of these guys, if not Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders, to add one of these guys maybe in the mid to late rounds as a developmental type of guy who can sit for a year and learn. I think they want to bring in a veteran that, not only could potentially start, but also somebody that Levis and or a rookie could learn from and learn how to play the position, learn the ins and outs of it. Levis is going to work with Jordan Palmer. He's going to be there for about 2 months. Now, I was told that last year that he had multiple guys he went to. Well, that's been cut out. He's going to go to one guy. He's going to hear Jordan Palmer's voice. He's going to take what Jordan Palmer tells him, and I think that's going to be probably along the same wavelength of what Brian Callahan is going to tell him, because it was Brian Callahan and Nick Holtz, the offensive coordinator, I think, who set this up with for him to go see Palmer to try and salvage something, because this is probably his last shot to make a decent impact on this team.
To me, it feels like the Titans, well, it's a fact that they've bolstered their front office. And obviously, it's hard not to feel good about who they brought in, whether it's Borgonzi or Ziegler or even Reggie McKenzie, who we talked about a couple of days ago. How has your feeling changed, Terry, on how this franchise is built and how these changes might impact this team starting with the draft, but also, expectations for next year. I know it's way too early to get into that, but how has your feeling changed on the moves they've made in the front office?
Well, I think they've done a lot of things here that you can say, they're trying to get as many football minds involved as they can, trying to get this thing going in the right direction, trying to make a consensus decision on, what types of players they add, what types of, help that they need and in what areas that they need it. So I think you're seeing a group that, wants to get on the same page and try to get as many good football players in here as possible. They just know it's going to take some time.
Terry, help me with this. I was reading an article earlier today, and I'll admit I didn't quite know the depth of which somebody has gone to create this. But there is some sort of a point system that somebody put together that says if you have the first pick in the draft and you want to move it, here are the things that you have to get back or you've gotten ripped off. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's the Jimmy Johnson chart, I think is what you're talking about.
Or as Jerry Jones would say, Jimmy.
Yes.
Jimmy. Okay, so help me for a fan out there who's saying, man, I really like the idea of moving back. Talk to me about Jimmy.
Well, I think what you got to try to do, you got to, you don't have a third round pick because of the L'Jarius Sneed trade. So I think you'd have to get back a first rounder. You'd have to get back a third rounder, maybe a second rounder. And then I think you probably got to get a first or second round pick in 2026 because you need, if you come off of number one, you probably need at least 4 to 5 picks in return over the next couple of years.
Yeah. Last thing for you. Is it now a foregone conclusion Mason Rudolph will not be here next year?
I think that's probably a good bet, George. I think that given that they've got their eyes on, maybe one of these rookie quarterbacks, and we know that they're going to try to go get a veteran who can potentially start and at the very least compete on even footing with Will Levis, because they brought in Mason Rudolph last year and he was strictly as a backup. They handed the keys to Will Levis and that didn't work out so well. So this year, if Will Levis is going to be in the conversation, he's going to have to beat back a challenge from, some veteran quarterback in order to retain the starting spot for the Titans.
Interesting stuff, Terry. Enjoy the good weather down there. Thank you, as always, for the visit.
No problem.
Terry McCormick reporting live, as opposed to, I guess, on tape. Reporting live from Mobile, Alabama, where the Senior Bowl and all the workouts are going on, actually on the South Alabama University campus.
Which is a nice facility.
Yeah, I have actually done a basketball game at South Alabama.
USA?
Yeah, and in truth, gosh, how long? This would have been like 2006. Billy, I was able to combine that with, it was our visit. We did our show from the national title game, and I want to say it was LSU and Ohio State.
Mm.
Yeah.
Was that the...
Those were good times.
What year was that?
Look it up. 06 or 07, somewhere.
I think
07?
I think it was 07.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go to the break, and then we'll talk a little more NFL football. In the 4 o'clock hour, I'm going to give you my newest crazy theory in Southeastern Conference basketball. Mike Organ will be with us at 4:20. He had to kind of rearrange the schedule a little bit, and we'll probably take some phone calls in the 4:40 range. This is 94.9 The Fan.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system. Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
A lot of people want to define teams by singular performances.
Sports. Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't.
Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
You know, I really had not thought about what I'm going to get into here in just a second, but the Titans apparently had a meeting with Shedeur Sanders sometime in the last couple of days. And Daddy Dion has put out some stuff about, you know, there's certain teams I'm not going to let him play for. You all have seen those comments. If you're the Titans, is the proper strategy in that introductory meeting to say, look, we need to know right now, and you need to understand your father's the coach at Colorado. We're not putting up with his crap. Are you prepared to be an adult, or are you simply Dion's son and you can't get out of his cocoon?
I feel like that's hard to do if you're Shedeur. Like, and I don't know Dion. Maybe Dion, you know, his comments are his comments, but maybe he's not as hands-on as we might think. But it definitely appears like Dion's heavily involved here.
Yeah, he put it out there. It wasn't kind of a myth. He kind of put it out there. Now, what he didn't do was tell you which teams he was really talking about. And so it seems like the various clubs are left to say, I wonder where we fit into that deal. And certainly the Titans, who have looked like bumbling buffoons in the last 3 or 4 years, would appear to be a prime target for what Dion was aiming at. So
they do.
What's the point? You know, where's a meeting going to go with him if you don't figure out in the meeting that, hey, if you draft me, I'm in. Don't you have to find that out quicker than later?
Like the next week or two? I mean, feel like because he was at the East-West, Shedeur was at the East-West Shrine Bowl. You would assume the Titans had a chance to talk to him there. I don't know if that's when the conversation starts. But, this is between Shedeur and the GM or the coach. And I wonder how Dion gets himself involved in. Like, is he in any of those meetings? I wonder.
Well, I'm laughing.
Or they Skype him in or FaceTime or something?
I don't know. I'm laughing a little bit, Billy, because one of the great lessons, kind of a father-son chat, even though I wasn't the son, was Coach Newton. One day, I don't know where we were. I was in my 20s, and he pops this one on me. The biggest problem in coaching is dealing with parents. Parents all sit up there together. They all yap. Nobody's happy with playing time. Everybody's up there analyzing every move. And the coach has got to do what's best for the team while the parents are absolutely doing or hoping for what's best for their kid. I get it. I mean, it's part of human life, but at the same time, you expect better than that from Dion because he's a coach. He's had likely some parents who have been a little bit of a problem at some point, and yet there's a little bit of, it feels like he's becoming that a little bit, that he feels the need to protect his sons, maybe the whole Colorado bunch that's going to get drafted early. I just wonder what the dynamic is.
Yeah.
I'll ask Mike Organ some of this same stuff later.
I like Shedeur Sanders as a player, and I think he's a pretty good quarterback, but I don't rely on him if I'm a team that needs a quarterback in the first round.
The bowl game didn't help him.
No, he was bad in that bowl game.
He was bad, and there looked like way too much playground, draw it up in the dirt, scramble this way, scramble that way. It didn't look good.
No, and going into the bowl, I think a lot of people were positive. It's like, he's playing in the bowl.
I was a lot higher on him.
And Travis Hunter's playing too, and they're both, they're not opting out or anything like that. And then you look like that. I mean, they played BYU, and BYU just ran them off the field.
Billy, it feels like there are two, what do they call them, generational talents. Anybody who's seen Abdul Carter at Penn State, you talk about a stud. And the other one's Travis Hunter. And it's very possible that they're going to get inquiries that are more about those two than they might be about the quarterbacks.
Yeah, some teams maybe in the top 10 that aren't in the position as the Titans, but could really use a player either like Hunter or Carter. But if you're the Titans and say the Titans have made up their mind and have made the decision that they're going to take one of those two guys, one of those two generational talents, they said, and again, this could be deception, likely is, they said, well, we can't pass up on a generational talent with that number one pick.
The problem is when you're openly admitting that you only have half a starting lineup that you believe is really first team stuff? I mean, is that not telling?
Yeah. So, and maybe that's the case, but who do you favor? Are you taking Carter or Hunter? Because I'm wrestling with that.
Oh, I'm not. I'm trade.
Yeah, but if say they've made up their mind and you've got to choose between those two.
I don't know. I don't think you can go wrong with either one.
Yeah.
Which is why I think they can get a nice haul back if they decide to do it.
What kind of haul are we talking about?
Well, you heard what Terry talked about. That, first of all, if you look at what's being written, there's virtually nobody out of the top 10 that has enough to say, okay, let's swap, essentially, and then we'll give you these other things besides the swap. You don't hear any talk of, well, we have the 29th pick, Titans, so let's trade picks, and what else will you want? Well, Fort Knox is probably it. Now, here's one thing that came out earlier. You didn't bring it up in the update, and I admit I am talking out of my you-know-what on this subject.
Mm-hmm.
The headline, MLS to introduce Sunday Night Soccer for 2025 and will go head-to-head with the NFL. Now, for all I know, and I've been to probably, I'm going to say between 15 and 20 of the soccer team here. I've been to about 15, I'm going to say 15 of the matches. Several of them when they were playing at Nissan, and even more now in the beautiful Geodis Park that they've put together. I enjoy it. I'm not going to lie. I don't sit around inspecting soccer transactions. You know, the soccer is not going to replace my love of the Atlanta Braves. It's just not. But why would you go head to head with the NFL? Is it so different an audience?
I think it might be. I mean, there's soccer fans all over the world, and there's probably soccer fans that are also NFL fans, but I think there's enough soccer-only sickos that love it.
Better rethink that term.
But they're out there. There's people that all they care about is soccer.
Call them P1s.
P1s. But no, I think it is that different of an audience. I'll be interested. I'll be interested to see those numbers.
So the people that go see the Nashville soccer team, the ones that are in Geodis during the summer, they're not NFL football fans.
I mean, I'm sure that a lot of them are, but I know a couple soccer type people that aren't the biggest. You know, they'll root on the Titans, but they're soccer first. But that'll be interesting to see what those numbers are.
Yeah, I mean,
because that'll probably give us the answer of, okay, if they're really good numbers, then probably give us our answer there.
But I mean, I think there's a big chunk of people
that might do both.
Who, if you're being given the option, and Denver's at Kansas City on the opening Sunday night, soccer's not winning.
No.
Now, you could also put the argument out there that, George, if the Braves are on, soccer's not winning with you. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
So who knows? Anyway, that's hour number one, a little food for thought. As we get to hour number two, we will have stat of the day, which apparently I'm running solo, and that's probably not good. And then a new theory that I've got on SEC basketball and where we are right now. I think you're going to want to hear it. I don't necessarily think you'll agree with it. This is 94.9, The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger repel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly?
the biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket. The Predators win! Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. The George Plaster Show gets advertisers the results they're looking for. For example, here's Metro Nashville police officer Garen Hoskins.
You hear me all the time on the show talk about, changes in career and people looking to serve their community and get into law enforcement and join a great department. And I just so happened to meet an individual who heard my segment on your show and has already applied, has come from multiple different career paths and has always had this dream. And we're very glad to have him. And that's just going to be the start of many.
If you want to be part of the Plaster Show advertising family, it's simple. Just email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Again, plastergeorge@gmail.com. We will fit your budget and your needs.
3 Laverne, all around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network, ESPN 94.9, The Fan, a Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Out of the day, brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, or Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right, on an island today, George. Vandy hasn't been ranked in the top 25 in basketball since 2015. Can you name the leading scorer from that team? A little hint, he went on to play in the NBA. Not for long, though.
Damari Carroll?
No. From that team, 2015. That's the last time they've been ranked. So the leading scorer on the 2015 Vanderbilt Commodores.
Yes, I get that.
You said Damari Carroll.
Don't treat me like I'm stupid. I think you're going to have to put this one up here. Let me think here. So this would have been near the end of the Kevin Stallings era.
Mm-hmm.
Wade Baldwin was part of that team. Jeffrey Taylor and that bunch were gone by then.
Yep.
Went on to play. What the heck? Let's go Wade Baldwin.
Wade Baldwin is correct.
Oh, wow. Now, I will say this. Wade Baldwin
experienced some turbulence.
Woo, did he ever. So there was a night where...
That's well documented.
Yes, it is well documented, where Wade Baldwin said some things pregame about Tennessee.
Well, after the game.
But before was where Kevin.
So
that was
their team?
No, in print.
Okay.
Kevin was a guy that if you played for him, there damn well better not be any bulletin board material coming from you.
Yeah.
You know, center George Plaster on the eve of the Kentucky game says, Kentucky sucks. He would go ballistic over that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, we are not giving ammunition. And by the way, he's right about that. Well, Wade Baldwin did it. And I happened to talk to Kevin earlier that day. It had gotten out. And I'll just say that I'm not surprised with what went on that night.
That was an interesting night in Knoxville.
Oh, my goodness. There's some stories here I can't tell.
He was a really good player, though.
He was a very good player.
He was
rough around the edges.
Yeah, he was 6'4", 6'5", I remember, but long arms, athletic. Great ball handler, good passer, scored at the rim. Really good player.
So are we now officially into the 4 o'clock hour?
We are.
We welcome all of you into the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. George Plaster, Billy Derrick with you. Kelly Holcomb is traveling, he and his family, down somewhere in Florida. His daughter, who plays for Lipscomb, they've got a game down there. I think it's tomorrow night. And on the return trip up, I think they'll go through Valdosta and end up seeing Jameson. So safe travels to the Holcomb family. He probably doesn't believe it when I say that because it sounds way too professional.
The Holcomb Family Express.
Can you imagine 10 hours in the car with him?
Oh, I don't even want to think about that.
Okay, so let's get to the theory. Do you remember when the SEC released the football schedule on that silly show?
Yeah,
the
2-hour show.
The 2-hour show, which to me is total overkill, but whatever. And you remember the next day I put out this thing about, hey, playtime's over. There are some teams that have got 3 and 4 week stretches.
Yeah.
That there's no way they're winning them all. And I think we all learned that, he's right about that. When going to LSU is considered a breather, you got problems. So in the SEC, Billy, are you aware that when I was growing up, which I know you're thinking
the dark ages,
Grover Cleveland as president. Well, it wasn't.
Lyndon B. Johnson.
Well, close. SEC basketball was a Saturday night, Monday night. Remember, the SEC back when I was growing up, you got one game on TV each Saturday.
And that's your chance to watch it.
2 o'clock. It was John Ferguson and Joe Dean. And hey. So it was a Saturday night, Monday night. And the teams, the travel was you were either on the road for Saturday, Monday, or you were home for Saturday, Monday. I can remember as a kid where Kentucky and Tennessee were paired together. And on the weekend that they would come in to play Vandy, Memorial Gym was hopping. Think about back-to-back of that. Anyway, they then changed it. And I don't remember exactly when they changed it to the traditional Saturday and Wednesday. And I don't know if I like it better or not, but that's the way it is. What really is starting to go on is that Tuesday night is now just as big a night because the SEC is trying to peddle all this game action.
Heck, Wednesday too.
Yeah, Tuesday and Wednesday. They're trying to peddle all this stuff and fill up SEC Network. I get it. Here's what's happening, though, that nobody really saw coming, and it really hit me last night. First of all, take nothing away from Kentucky. Kentucky was really well coached, probably more than a tad bit pissed off, had a great game plan, and Tennessee couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
11 for 45 from 3.
So, first of all, if you take 45 threes, you're probably in trouble.
Especially if you're Tennessee.
Right. So the result is that Kentucky pretty much, from what I know, wire to wire,
led by, I mean, it felt
win.
like every time I looked up, they were up by 5 or 6. But
okay.
The thing about that too, they sagged off Tennessee shooters. A lot of Kentucky's threes.
Right. They determined who they thought could make them and who couldn't make them. And the ones that they didn't think could make them, you said.
Ziegler was 1 for 11.
Right, which they were fortunate because Ziegler normally way better than that. So not only is there a little bit of luck when you do it, but Kentucky had a great plan. Like I said, they were probably more than a little pissed off that they had lost at Vandy, and it's the perfect storm. But here's the other thing. Post up Tennessee's schedule that I've got up there for a minute. Tennessee on Saturday put every egg in the basket of going to Auburn and winning what turned out to be kind of a sumo wrestling competition. And they had a 3-ball essentially to win. And they got beat 51-48. And now all of a sudden you've attached huge significance to going to play number 1 in the country and you don't win. And now 2 days later, you're not getting ready for South Carolina. Okay? This isn't LSU. This is Kentucky. Kentucky has got some talent.
Shooters.
So look at that 3-game stretch that Tennessee has. At Auburn, home against Kentucky with only a couple of days off, and then Florida. Man, that's a 3-game Godzilla that from a schedule standpoint, if you're Tennessee, you're like, God, why couldn't it have been South Carolina? Let me tell you why I'm throwing South Carolina in there. Because if you really want to look at why Vandy has had some success, it's easy to say, well, they beat Tennessee at home, they beat Kentucky at home. And you're right. But here's the other thing. Honestly, they played like crap against South Carolina. They really didn't get a whole lot done. And I would claim that South Carolina is the only team in the league, with maybe the exception of LSU, that they could have beaten the night they beat them.
No. That was as ugly a game as I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, the performances against Kentucky and Tennessee haven't looked anything like that.
Yeah.
Now, here's where my theory started to come, that we're going to have to pay a whole lot more attention to SEC basketball scheduling. Let's go to Alabama on the left. Alabama's really good. Duh. We all know that. Are they as good as Auburn? I don't know. Frankly, it'd be fun to see them play on a neutral site
in Birmingham,
in Nashville at the SEC tournament.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. You talk about an Iron Bowl that takes on.
I hope that happens, because there were a lot. Like, you go back to last year's SEC tournament crowd at Bridgestone, a ton of Auburn fans, especially for the championship, but a lot of Alabama people too.
Sure.
How fun would that be?
These are basketball schools.
Absolutely.
So the most baffling outcome thus far in the SEC for me was the night Ole Miss went to Tuscaloosa and really just put a beat down on Alabama.
With the help of Malik Dia.
Yeah, now, not that Ole Miss isn't any good. I don't mean it that way. But to go in and dominate Alabama in Tuscaloosa, where nobody's had any real success.
Yeah.
So then I got to looking this morning. Okay, what was their 3-game thing around that? They go to A&M and win. And when you go to A&M with Buzz Williams, that's tough.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, you got to somehow get all the juices back to be at home. And apparently Alabama, kind of like Tennessee last night, may not have had the juice and got beat around pretty good. And, oh, by the way, the 3rd game, 3 days later was to go to Lexington with a really impressive win at Kentucky.
Yep.
So I'm starting to come to the theory that not only in football do you have to see how the schedule is, and are there these 3 or 4 game deals that are meant for total disaster? Because in this league at the moment, there are no automatics.
No.
Auburn went to South Carolina and was down double digits. Some people will say South Carolina is the worst team in the league.
South Carolina, by the way, they have, I can't tell you the amount of one possession losses.
Yeah, they have a style that they ugly it up.
They muddy it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they have the talent that a lot of the other teams have. But I'm starting to believe that, okay, from here on in, I better pay a whole lot more attention to what the schedule shows me. For instance, let's just take Vandy. Let me see if I can do this by memory. At Oklahoma Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
At Florida next week.
Yep.
Come home to play Texas.
Yep.
A week from next Tuesday, home against Auburn.
Yep.
At Tennessee, then at Kentucky.
Yep.
Okay.
Welcome to February.
You could play really good basketball and go 2-4 or 1-5. Now, in Vandy's case, at the end, it gets considerably easier. At the very end, you get, I hope I do this right, home against Missouri, home against Arkansas, at Georgia to close out the regular season.
Yeah, Ken Palm does a really good job. They project records in these games. In the month of February, Ken Palm projects Vanderbilt to go 1-6, it looks like, or 1-5. They're projecting, and again,
Texas
1-6
is a win.
Yeah, they're projecting Texas is that lone win in February for Vandy,
and he could be right.
That's going to be put up or shut up time for the Commodores.
I have never seen this league. You know, for the last few years, there were a lot of schools that felt like they could come in here, you know, with Stackhouse as the coach and roll it out and get a win, get a road win. You know, the crowd wasn't anything intimidating. You know, Ole Miss one night had more people in here than Vandy did. Auburn 2 years ago had more people than Vandy. For a while, Vandy felt like an automatic. Well, obviously, that's not the case. If LSU, Arkansas, and South Carolina right now are your 3 worst, there aren't a lot of gimmies. There's not a lot of gimme in this league. And on a night where you don't have the emotional juice because you used it all 2 nights earlier,
I'm telling you, Auburn,
that's where you could really get screwed.
Yeah. If you're Auburn, for example, tonight, you go into LSU thinking you're going to roll over them, you're not. And it won't be good for you. I know you're 12.5-point favorites. Kentucky was a 10.5-point underdog last night against Tennessee. They win by what, 5, 6? So you just never know. Texas tonight, I think they can go into Oxford and beat Ole Miss. Now it's not going to be easy, but you just don't know.
You want me to play coach?
Let's do it.
This is a joke, although I'm serious about what I'm saying. But for me to be dispensing coaching information at Rick Barnes is pretty humorous. I don't know, but that at the moment, if I was Barnes after that game was over last night, I might have told those guys, listen, I don't want to see you until Friday. Y'all need to get away from this because your tank looked empty tonight against a team that if it was empty, you were going to get your butt kicked. And by the way, you did.
And yeah, credit to Mark Pope. But I said it on Monday to Kelly. I think I said it yesterday. this Tennessee offense has to find more offense. They got to put the ball, Ziegler's their only guy that can get to the rim and score. If you think about it, maybe Milicic at times, but in terms of guards where you can give the ball to him, Gainey's a spot up shooter. Lanier is a spot up shooter for the most part as well.
At the moment, there's not the fear factor in playing them that there has been.
No.
And here's one mistake that's been put out there. Chaz Lanier does not equal Dalton Connect. Chaz Lanier is a really good player.
Yeah.
And on nights where he shoots, they're a lot better than when he doesn't. But please, Chaz Lanier is not Dalton Connect. Dalton Connect was a generational, get the hell out of the way, give him the ball, because one of two things was going to happen. Either he'd hit the bucket or he'd get fouled, or he'd do both. And they could rely on that. They don't have that right now.
No.
And the question is, are they going to find anything close to that? I don't know.
This Florida game is a big one for Tennessee to get back on track. You lose 3 in a row in the SEC, you're at risk of some confidence issues. I mean, I'm really interested to see because they'll be favored. And this is a spot where Barnes usually comes through and they win. And because people start talking now about Tennessee this and Tennessee that. This is usually where they come through and win, but you're playing Florida. I mean,
it's weird, Billy, because the effort that I think I saw Saturday night, I saw the last 8 minutes of it, was good enough to beat 98% of teams. The problem is Auburn is the other 1%. Go back to Vandy when I said the night they beat South Carolina, they played like crap. South Carolina, I think, was the only team in the league they could have beaten that night.
Yeah.
But, oh, by the way, it was South Carolina. I think how the schedule plays is determining certain results that you may not see coming. Mike Organ, after the break, we'll get into a little bit of Shedeur Sanders. How would Mike handle it? This is 94.9, The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3. Part D changes for 2025. Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3. The George Plaster Show gets advertisers the results they're looking for. For example, here's Metro Nashville police officer Garen Hoskins.
You hear me all the time on the show talk about changes in career, people looking to serve their community and get into law enforcement and join a great department. And I just so happened to meet an individual who heard my segment on your show, has already applied, has come from multiple different career paths, and has always had this dream. And we're very glad to have him. That's just going to be the start of many.
If you want to be part of the Plaster Show advertising family, it's simple. Just email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Again, plastergeorge@gmail.com. We will fit your budget and your needs.
Hey, Vandy fans, it's Jake Lyman. Commodore women's basketball is on the road on Thursday night. The 23rd ranked Commodores are in Florida taking on the Gators. I'll have your coverage starting at 5:45.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
That song in 3 notes. That is iconic right there.
That's one of the best songs ever.
Oh, it doesn't get any better than that. And it's one that if you're in the car, people will catch you singing to it and look at you like you're some sort of freak show. Just
Didn't you see them live?
Oh yeah.
I can't imagine that live.
Oh, it's incredible.
Because that's one of the songs.
If we could turn the mics off right now, I would belt out a big chunk of it.
I mean, most people, I would guess, know every word, just about every word in the chorus.
The Grizzlies used that song, "Don't Stop Believing," when they made the run, and gosh, it's been 10 years ago now at least, to the conference finals in the West. And I happened to go in round 2 when they played Oklahoma City, and they picked a timeout with about 3 minutes left in a nail biter and put that thing on the loudspeaker, and the place went nuts.
I bet.
Love that song. I bet Mike Organ likes that song as well. Let's check in with the hardest working sportsman in Nashville, Tennessee. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good, and I do indeed love that song. Extremely iconic. And like you guys said, if everybody that hears it knows the chorus.
Oh, absolutely. And do you think? Well, okay, let's do it. Back at the studio, play like 3 notes of it. Let's see if we can do that. Stop. Yeah. Mike. Okay, we can stop. Mike, we can do that in 2 or 3 notes, can't we?
Oh, yeah. Just a hometown girl.
Living in a lonely world.
Yep.
She picked the midnight train. She picked the midnight train going anywhere.
Yep.
So you'll love where we're going to start this. If you're the Tennessee Titans and you have some sort of a meeting with Shedeur Sanders, and you know that Papa has already put it out there that certain teams don't need to waste their time, are you asking that question right off the bat in the meeting? Where do we stand?
Oh, obviously, yes. Absolutely. I don't mean to name drop, but I was talking to Eddie George last night, and the conversation got around to Shedeur because Eddie, people may not realize this, Eddie coached against Shedeur in Shedeur's second game as a starter, and again in his sophomore season. So Eddie coached against Shedeur twice when he was at Jackson State, and Dion was the head coach. And of course, Eddie and Dion are friends, and Eddie's all for it. He said, look, if you've got that power and influence, then absolutely use it. And it's something that he may use someday because his son, Eddie's son, is an outstanding defensive end at Tennessee State and could be – he's not going to be, in position to be a first-round draft, but he's draftee, but he's going to be a good one, and Eddie will have some influence in him. And, you got to do it because you don't want to waste your time, and because Dion has that kind of influence, and he can alter what happens.
Mike, you broke a story, I guess it's been about 2 weeks ago now, about Eddie interviewing with the Bears. And some people will be cynical about it and say, look, the only reason was because of the Rooney Rule. I feel like it's a show of what some NFL people think about Eddie. What's he told you about the interview?
Well, I mean, and it's specifically the Chicago Bears. If it was any team other than the Bears, I think you might question what happened. But Eddie has a relationship with the Bears. In his second year as a coach at TSU, he realized that he had some shortcomings. He had some things to learn. He'd never coached before. So he did an internship with the Chicago Bears, a Bill Walsh diversity internship where he spent training camp with the Bears. And Eberflus, who was the coach when Eddie was there, and he allowed Eddie to come in and be in on all the meetings and everything they did during OT. I think it was OTAs or maybe about training camp actually. And so Eddie formed a relationship with them at that time. So when they reached out and he looked down and saw, who was calling, he wasn't surprised they were calling. Now, when they said they were calling to, see if he wanted to interview the head coaching position, that caught him off guard a little bit. But then, he remembered, yes, we do have a relationship. Yes, they are looking for a head coach. They've interviewed a lot of people. I think Eddie was the 17th candidate to interview. And they brought him in. They brought him in for an in-person interview. So there was whether the Rooney Rule had anything to do with it or not, and they never tell you if it did or not. You can look at who they interviewed to know if they have met those stipulations. But whether it did or didn't, the bottom line is, like you said, George, he interviewed for a head coaching job in the NFL. And, you don't turn that down. And I think he even told them, he said, give me a couple of days to think about it. And they gave him that. They granted him that. He touched base with some of his colleagues and people in the league that he knows and decided ultimately to do it. And he did it with TSU's blessing. Nikki Allen, the athletics director, on the day that Eddie interviewed, put out a statement saying that basically Tennessee State was flattered to have their fourth-year coach be interviewed by an NFL team.
So when I think about Eddie, Mike, and I know you do too, because we both have a world of respect for him. This is a guy who has talents in a bunch of different areas. He became an actor of some real fame. It wasn't like he was, acting at the middle school. He was up there. Just to be specific about it, he proved a lot of us wrong that he was very capable of doing that. I know that if he ever made the decision to go in broadcasting and broadcasting only, he'd be a smash hit. He's a guy that can do damn near anything he sets his mind to. Is there a piece of him right now going, you know what? I might want to try this pro football thing at some point.
Yeah, I think, he was recruited to coach at Tennessee State. That never even crossed his mind. He had as you mentioned, he had his iron in several different fires. He had an investment company, which he still has, but he was actively running it at the time. A landscaping company. He has a degree in landscaping from Ohio State. He has a business degree from Northwestern, so he was running a landscaping company. He was running an investment company. He was involved with the Nashville Stars, trying to bring professional baseball to Nashville. He was a consultant there. So he had lots of things going on, and he was recruited to coach by the president at Tennessee State University, the former president, Glenda Glover, and Mickey Allen. And on Jeff Fisher's recommendation, he took him up on it. But there's no way he could have, or anybody could have at that point, said, you know what, I'm going to make a go of this. I'm going to do this for the next 10 or 15 years. He came into it open-minded to see how he liked it. He signed a 5-year deal, and he's never been a quitter. So I always expected him to fulfill his 5-year agreement. And especially when Eric signed with Tennessee State, I knew that he would stay there through Eric's tenure. And I thought at that point that if he didn't care for it, if this wasn't for him, that he would say, hey, I tried this. We gave it a shot. We had some success. And, I'm satisfied. They're satisfied. I'm going to move on. There's no way that's going to happen now. Eddie's going to finish out his 5th year next year, and he's going to stay at Tennessee State if they get on stable financial footing and are continue to be able to field a football team. And whether they are or not, Eddie's going to continue into this coaching endeavor because he likes it. And more importantly than anything else, he's been successful at it.
Good for him. And I guess deep down, I'm not surprised because, look, I know going back when they came here as the Oilers, Eddie and I did a post-game show together at the old Rio Bravo on West End. I have never been around a human being that hates losing more than that guy. Oh, my God. I mean, when he would lose, I can remember one time I just said, look, you need to just go on home. I don't mean that he's a difficult person, but I've never seen anybody take losing as hard as he did. Anyway, on to one other thing on my end, and then I'm going to turn it to Billy. Kelly is gone today. Billy is thrilled.
It's a good day.
No, thrilled because Kelly's not picking on him. Is that why?
Absolutely.
Stress-free.
Absolutely. So tell me, because you're one of these people that really has the pulse of the public in this city. Are you not amazed at the public reaction to Mark Byington and what he's getting done?
No, I'm. People at Vanderbilt are the best. Vanderbilt has the best fans of any sports entity I know of. They don't have the most, but the fans that have remained Vanderbilt over the years are the most loyal fans you're going to find with what they've been through, football and even basketball, not quite to the same degree, but to a degree. And they've been hungry for a winner. And the Jerry Stackhouse experience, which was similar to what we were talking about with Eddie George. Eddie could have ended up being very similar to Jerry Stackhouse and just not worked out on the college level. But Eddie handled it completely different than Jerry. And Stackhouse was, he just made Vanderbilt fans that much more hungry. The ones that have hung on aren't going anywhere, George. So with what Byington has been able to do, it's finally satisfied those long-suffering fans, and it's brought so many back who have kind of said, I just can't hang in there. I just got to, take a step back and see what happens here. And they came rushing back, and they are playing good basketball right now. And I know they've got some talent, but I think more than anything, I think it's been coaching that has led to their success this year than anything else.
Totally agree. Billy?
You talked about some of the fans that might have left, whether it was, the Derek Mason era, the Stackhouse era, whatever it was. If they're on the fence now, it's got to be tempting for those Vandy fans to come back after the football season they had, going 7-6, winning the Birmingham Bowl, and now you have a couple of back-to-back weekends at home, beating Tennessee and beating Kentucky and storming the court. They've now got $850,000 worth of fines to pay, but at this point, who cares? They've got the money and they're invested, and I think Daniel Diermeyer, Mike, is one of the biggest reasons for all of this. When's the last time you saw Vanderbilt athletics with this much momentum?
Billy, as you were laying out that question, I was trying to think, and I thought about this before. I don't know across the board that we've ever seen this level of success at Vanderbilt. If the baseball team, of all things, we're looking now at baseball and saying, hey, you need to step up. If the baseball team, and baseball is not bad by any stretch, but if it can get back to near where it's been this season, and I fully believe it can because I know what Tim Corbin can do, then I think we could see this year, this calendar season, athletic season, turning out to be the best that we've ever seen in our lifetime. Mine or Georgia's lifetime. I mean, you go back into the 50s, I don't know. You didn't have the same sports. You didn't have women's basketball then. There wasn't a spotlight on all the sports like there are today. I think this is historic. If basketball, men's and women's basketball, because women's basketball is back too. It's not back maybe to being a Final Four participant like it did once, but it's back to where we remember it being under Jim Foster and for some time under Melanie Balcom. So you got women's basketball back there, men's basketball getting back there. If they finish out the momentum they already have right now, and then baseball improves just a little bit over last year, but yeah, I think this is a historic year. I think that when you look at what Clark did, after last weekend, some of us were, some friends of mine were talking online about when was the last time Vanderbilt beat Alabama and Auburn in football, Tennessee in basketball, and Kentucky in basketball. And
Grover
I think you had to go back to
George
Washington.
Washington.
Go back to 69 for basketball, but to include football, you had to go back, I think, to 56 or 57.
Oh,
by the way,
gosh.
If we're being honest, this is 1974. Now, I'm old enough to remember it. Steve Sloan takes them to the Peach Bowl against Texas Tech with a 7-4 team and leaves in a real controversial move. Basketball team under Roy Skinner wins the SEC, plays Marquette in what at the time was an NCAA team NCAA tournament back then. SEC under Larry Schmittou wins the SEC championship. This is the golden year, in my opinion, since 1974.
Well,
you didn't have women's basketball at the time. You had it, but on in a whole different category, still in its infancy on the college level. So, yeah, I think you're right. For men's sports, you're right, George. This would be a repeat of that. And like I said, if women's sports, if basketball can finish up, not have a dip for the rest of the season, get into the tournament and win a couple of games, and I think you're at least back to 74.
Mike, I don't want to get over my skis here, but I was talking to somebody today because obviously, some people are saying that's the golden age of Vanderbilt. Let's let this basketball.
It's a 1 year piece of gold.
Yeah, but let's see. Of course, you mentioned the baseball season coming up. Gentry Estes' piece his column about Vanderbilt's sort of resurgence here. I thought was really good there in the Tennessean. But he talked about the investment and kind of the swagger that the confidence that they've got. And, they've paid for players, right? That's what you do now. And in this era, a lot of people thought, oh, at Vanderbilt, you can kiss them goodbye. And now you can, now everybody's paying players. Well, it's kind of been the opposite, it feels like, where now Vanderbilt is using the money that they've always had, but now everybody's doing it. They can do that now. Do you feel like, in a way, Mike, that this, similar to an SMU or at schools like that maybe don't have the recent tradition, but they've got the money, and that's what you do now. You pay players to come to your school.
Absolutely. I didn't know if Vanderbilt, like you said, I didn't know if they were going to jump in at this point, because this was a good point for Vanderbilt. In all honesty, Vanderbilt could have said, okay, this has gone too far. People have accused us of being academically slanted all these years. Well, yes, we do care about academics, and to the point where we're not going to pay for players. So it was a jumping off point that Vanderbilt could have taken, and nobody would have thought twice about it. But instead, Vanderbilt got in the game, and a little bit late, but not too late, and has made up incredible ground for getting in it late with a very impressive NIL collective, and is tapping into some of that. I mean, Vanderbilt has tremendous resources with some of its Vanderbilt degree means a lot, always has, and to this day still does. And there's a lot of Vanderbilt alumni making a lot of money out there. And I think that Clark and the basketball programs and the baseball program have done a great job of going in and convincing alums and other businesses and whatever else it takes to contribute to this collective, and gotten Vanderbilt right in the middle of it. And that has got to do more with anything else. I don't feel like Dearmeyer is basically fighting the same battles that we saw so many chancellors at Vanderbilt fight, which was between academics and athletics. I don't know if that fight doesn't exist anymore. If the past chancellors didn't fight hard enough, they didn't know how to do it, and he does. But I think he's having unprecedented success with it.
Good stuff, Mike. I appreciate your moving your schedule around to help us. We'll do it again next Wednesday.
Thank you guys for moving it for me, and I enjoyed being with you. And let's get Kelly back.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Thank you, Billy.
Maybe we'll delay that.
No, maybe we won't. Thanks, Mike.
If Kelly's back or not next week. How about that?
I like it. See ya. Okay, I've got time for probably 2 or 3 of you who want to jump in quick on the phones for whatever you want to get into, as long as it's sports. Phone number 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. We're back in a moment on 94.9 The Fan.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to donleytimmons.com.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Portion sports. We're not living in an era where perfection is necessary.
They thought they were a championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
More I thought there. I can never about 2 notes. Any rock and roll fan can. 2 notes, huh? Yeah. Hold on. Back at the station. Stop it. And then play it back, and let's see if it's really true. Absolutely. Yeah. Because it's just, Billy, it's such a unique sound. You can check out, Billy, you can check out of this show anytime you want, but you can never leave. Yeah. Absolutely. Tony in Nolensville, how you doing today?
Good, George. What a great day. Had to get out, and anybody stayed inside today for a day like this in January, shame on you.
Hey, by the way.
I've got to say about that.
Yeah, between
you might have another caller or two pending in the queue. Guys, I personally think a great 2 or 3 years right there together. George, you go back to 2011, football team went to the Liberty Bowl. Basketball team, the 2011-2012 team, won 25 games, won the SEC tournament, knocking off Kentucky. Matter of fact, Kentucky's last loss, obviously, that they went on to win the national title that year. And the baseball team, their first trip to the College World Series. I thought that was a pretty good little stretch right there. And then, of course, I think 2014, 2015. I do not recall what Melanie Balcom's teams were doing that year. I can't recall. Maybe you had it offhand or so. But,
this is why
good spot right there. George, also, the other day I said this to Kelly and to Billy, and I know you were battling your illness, but I said this about the fines. It's time we start realizing and start expecting that we're Vanderbilt and we are expected to win certain games now, act like we've been there. But we still got one more, and I'd love it if we knocked off Auburn and if they came in here number one, whatever they come in here. But my take was if we could pay millions to a guy that didn't care if we won or lost, and we ended up losing a lot with him, Stackhouse. Well, then, by God, we could pay $1 million in fines. Yes, it goes to the other schools, but we could pay $1 million and us celebrating some victories and winning and knocking off some teams on the court storming. But
Yeah,
after that only game,
love it.
do it. I think we need to stop it. That's my take on that. Y'all agree?
Yeah, that's a
100%.
great take.
I mean, why not? I mean, you've suffered through probably the worst stretch of Vanderbilt athletics ever. And God forbid you beat Kentucky and Tennessee back-to-back weekends.
What the hell? It's not my money.
Right. That's what I say. And, we'll get it somewhere because eventually people will start storming the court on us if we lose at their place. I see that coming. I really do. And last thing, guys, I don't know if y'all seen this. The ticket prices for the Alabama-Auburn game next weekend in Alabama, behind second or third row on the court level, they're going for a seat, 4 seats, over $6,000 or $7,000. It's like $1,700 or better for 1 seat. And the game that's going to be played at the end of the year at Auburn, they're going for almost, I think it was around 15 or 16,000 for a seat, a set of 4 tickets. I mean, the price of the Iron Bowl on the hardwood is just going up astronomical.
Yeah.
If they keep going on, but hopefully Vandy can knock off Auburn. So I thought I'd throw that in there. But that was my take on the.
I love it.
We had some good years right there, 2011, 2014, right there in that window. I thought that was a good set of 5 years to be a Vandy fan. So I'm going to let you go, let y'all talk about it a little bit, and let you get another caller. Thank you, guys. See you, George and Billy.
See ya. You know, Billy, what it really says is I need to look at the media guide. When you do this off the cuff, you can end up looking like a fool. Now, 74 was really good stuff, but he brought up a couple I hadn't honestly thought through well enough. Here's what's funny at Alabama. Alabama has put out some stuff about we need your help in NIL. Okay.
Please.
I know. But if it's really true, then put 4 seats to the Auburn game that you control and throw in maybe a little dinner with Nick Saban. Yeah, after the game. What do you think that'd go for?
A pretty penny.
Frank in Smyrna would pay for it. Frank, how are you today?
I'm doing great, George, and no, I don't quite have that kind of money. Goodness, I'd have to sell my condo down here in Siesta Key to afford to do that, and I don't know, beach, spring training, warm weather, golf while it's cold in Nashville, or dinner with Nick Saban. Sorry, Coach Saban, much respect to you, but I'm staying in Florida. Nope.
Once in a lifetime opportunity. We could make a lot of money for last minute toy store. If somebody will donate those 4 basketball tickets, I'll take them to dinner. How about that, Billy?
You know what this is. This is insane. What the SEC basketball this year. I just cannot get over it every night. It's just like I said yesterday. You take a night off of the SEC, you're gonna get your butt kicked. It's gonna be embarrassing. So, and I agree with what Tony just said about Vanderbilt. I had season tickets for football and basketball back in those years between 2011 and 2015 or so, and those were some good years. Yes, they were. It just. I don't want to say it seems so long ago. I've almost forgot about it, but it really kind of does. But what I called about, George, looks like the Tampa Bay Rays and the city of St. Peter fighting again.
Saw it.
It's got down in. Yeah, did you see that?
Oh yeah. Oh look, my radar is on it because if this falls apart, based on the article I read 2 days ago. If it falls apart,
yes,
I think they're coming here.
All I know is the Sternberg, the owner, Stu Sternberg, told the media, we've got to make a decision by the end of March. So something's getting ready to happen. I think they're gone. I said that when I was in Tampa for the Buccaneers playoff game, and I'm going to the Lightning game tomorrow night. I may try to talk to some of the locals there, see what they think, but I think they're gone, which is great for Nashville. Assuming that's where they end up. Sad for Tampa that it's going to end like that, but I
Do
just think
it for me. Only because I'm in a position where I'm about out of time. Friday, after you go to that Lightning game Thursday night, call me back and let me know what you're hearing. Fair enough?
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Absolutely. I'll do that. Absolutely.
See ya. This is when I have to run to a break quick. This is 94.9, The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket. The Predators win! Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
They have a fleet of trucks, and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment on a Wednesday. Time now for Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Preds back at home tonight against the Canucks. 8 o'clock puck drop. Got some SEC action. Auburn at LSU. Alabama at Mississippi State. Texas at Ole Miss. All right, let's take a look at what happened last night. And it was a
W.
It was a W.
Darn tootin' it was.
BYU.
By a half point.
Did you see Conor McGregor was there?
No.
His nephew or cousin plays for BYU.
Wonderful.
He was there, like he pumped up the crowd, I think, in between one of the timeouts.
So we're 2 over 500, and when you start 2-9, this is progress. Tonight, I'm going with one that I feel pretty strong about. Let's go ahead and put that one up there. Miami at home. Virginia is not very good. Not that Miami is either, but I'm going with the home team in the ACC. That's the Miami Hurricanes. The next one is me going out on a limb. I think Mississippi State is going to win. I think they're going to muster up one of their best efforts of the year only because it's in Starkville. Do I think they've got any chance? I'm going Mississippi State. So let's give it a little
Hail
dun,
State.
Dun, dun, dun. Thank you.
The hump. That's a cool atmosphere.
Yeah, it's
at least this year.
It's okay. It was not one of my favorites.
Humphrey Coliseum.
I mean, it's okay. It's a round. It's a nicer version of the Municipal Auditorium. A much nicer version. Well, I mean, it's one deck and then another deck, and
that's about it.
And most of the time, the second deck's empty. But not tonight.
No, it's going to be rocking.
No, they'll be into it. Tomorrow, college basketball insiders, Ron Bargatze, Lee Fowler. Don't ask me what's at 4 o'clock. At 3 o'clock. We'll figure it out tomorrow. See you then.